Hello everybody, it's Gary Mills here and we're locked down again and I thought, well, why not? Why don't I do an art project for you? And this art project is in 3 stages. It's can be over 3 days or you might take a bit longer if you want to, but it's for everybody. So if it's you that is at home and you're not going to school, or if it's for you that's at home and you're not going to work, or it could be for you that's on your own and you're feeling so fed up, and this is the opportunity to do something, get creative and have something to do for the next 3 days. So anyway, do join me. I'll do it, as I said, in the 3 stages. And the first thing you got to do is you got to put your coat on because we're going out. So anyway, I'll take you outside and I'll tell you what you got to do once you get out and you got walking. So I've come down to the beach for my walk, and yes, I'm very lucky. I've got the beach very near to where I live, but you might have a park at the end of your road, or you might just have a little garden you can walk around or something. And when you're on your walk, what I want you to look out for and pick up is sticks. I want you to get some sticks about this length. They're about 12 inches, 30 centimeters long. They're probably about diameter of about a centimeter or half a centimeter, but roughly quite strongish sticks. Get about 4, but you can get more. And then also what I want you to pick up is I want you to pick up bits and pieces that we can stick onto the end, because what we're going to make is we're going to make some homemade brushes. So look out for things like bits of feather, little bits of plastic, little bits of grass, anything you can find that we're going to stick on the end of these brushes or these sticks to make some brushes. When I get back to the studio, I'll show you what I found and then we can have a go at making some brushes then. So here are my sticks. So I've got my little bits of stick that I've picked up, and then I'm going to show you what else I found on my little journey down to the beach. But you might be around your garden, you could be at the park, anywhere like that. So I found a feather. Now I think you'll find feathers sort of laying around in a lot of places, so a feather's a really good thing to make a brush from. I found bits of plastic, so I was doing my bit for the environment, so I found some nice little bits of plastic. I will say at this point it might be a good idea, if you're picking things up from the ground, is one, perhaps to wear gloves to pick them up with. And when I got home, I've washed all these, so they've been washed and cleaned, because you don't know what they've been on or been in. So do take care when you're picking bits and pieces up on your scavenger hunt. Another thing, so I found this sort of very sort of ferny type of sort of dried seaweed, which I thought if I put that on the end of a stick, that could make quite a nice little brush. So I've got some little bits of this sort of dried seaweed here, and I've also got some dried seed heads and grasses type things here, some plants that have dried and died. But I'm not thinking of using the whole plant, but what I might do is just cut off bits and pieces from the end and then just put them around the end of my stick. So I'm going to use some of those and put them to one side, because the other things that you're going to need is something to, obviously, to first of all tie your whatever you put around, be it a piece of feather or something, you need to tie around. So you will need some sort of thread. You can use cotton thread. This is some sort of thicker button thread, but you might have something like some twine or something like that you could use that. So really what it's just so that you can tie around the edge to hold your brush together. You'll need some scissors, some quite strongish scissors, not too precious scissors, just nice strong sturdy scissors to cut some of your plastics and some of your dried plant material up with. You can also use some craft knives. I've got a sort of a wider, thicker craft knife here and a scalpel blade, but do take caution with those if you're using them, because they will cut you as well as cutting the sticks and for the stuff that you're going to put on the end of your brush. Glue. So you need some sort of glue to go around the end of it to stick it for when you're wrapping it around with a thread. It just holds it all together better. Now you could use, if you're going to take your time about this, you could use some all-purpose adhesive. This one is branded, and you could put that one around the end of it to then let it dry, and then you could use your brush. If you want a more of an instant sort of like sticking, you could use a glue gun. So here's the glue gun that I'm going to use today. So I've got a small glue gun. You could use a glue gun, but obviously not all of you are going to have a glue gun at home, so you might want to use some just some ordinary adhesive. Or if you haven't got any glue at all, you could use just some sellotape. So you could put some sellotape round the end of it. It's not going to last as long as when you glue it, but it will do the trick. So you could use some sellotape as well. Right, next I'm going to move on and I'm going to show you how to make your brushes. So hopefully you've had a lot of fun making your brushes. Next thing you need to think about is the ink or some sort of paint that you're going to use to dip these brushes into. Now there's several things you could do. You might have some Indian ink or some ink at home already. So you might have a little pot of ink. So you could pour some ink into a pot ready for painting or ready for mark making. You might have some black paint or some dark paint that you water down with some water and you almost get a consistency of ink to dip into. But if you haven't got any of those, my most favorite go-to for painting and mark making is a really strong instant coffee. So what I've done here in this little pot is I've added 2 teaspoons of any coffee, any instant coffee, the cheaper the better, it doesn't matter, and then just a little bit of hot water and mix that up so it's all dissolved. Very, very strong, but makes for brilliant ink or mark making paint. So we've got that. So I'm going to put that to one side. You'll need probably some water just to dip your brushes in. So I'm going to just put the water up there and bring these in here. Maybe some kitchen towel to keep near. You might want to cover the surface where you're working in case you dip, sort of like get ink or paint and that all over the place. But hopefully you won't, and try to contain yourself into a small area. Another thing is you need paper to make marks on. So what I'd like you to do is really, if you can, just find some papers. You could use photocopy paper from your printer, or you might have a little sketchbook, but why don't you use like envelopes, the white envelopes that you have going through the you know, with the junk mail and bits and pieces like that. When you got an envelope, always open it and check what it's like inside, because you'll find there's some lovely patterns inside the envelope. So I'm going to use some of that. You might have some old wrapping paper, so you could use that. You could have some pages from an old book that perhaps the book is not being used anymore, you don't want that book. It could be magazine paper, but this is just an old, like an old maths book. It's very much out of date, and so therefore I'm just going to use the pages to make marks on here. Or you might just have some ordinary, just some paper, just some off-white paper. Now what I want you to do for today, to finish the day, is to experiment with all your brushes. So take all your brushes individually and just dip them into your paint or your ink and just see what sort of lines they make. What can you get from them? What can you make it do, you know, just by making marks on a piece of paper? Just get to know what your brush does. So this one makes nice little sort of straight lines like that. And that's with the coffee. Put that one to one side. Keep all your bits of paper and let them dry out. So keep them, because we will use those later on in the art challenge. Should we use this, which is the feather? Let's dip that into the ink and see what happens. So this is much more delicate. So this is quite nice. So you've got to sort of hold it above and just sort of drag it and use the paintbrush like that. So that's quite nice. So you just got to experiment and see what you can do. Can you control it? How can you control it? Looks like you can control it quite well on its side, just dragging it along from left to right or right to left, depending on which way you prefer. But you can actually drag that, and then you can sort of make it big swathes of marks. You can always rinse that out and then dry it when you want to use it again. So there's that one. What else have we got? We've got the sticks. So let me try with the sticks on a piece. We use this piece of envelope here. What have we got? Let's do with the coffee again. Let's see what we can get. 'Cause this one I thought was probably going to be quite fragile, but let's just, oh, that's quite nice. Yeah, that will hold ink. Let's try it with black. Dip it in the black. Oh, nice. So nothing's right, nothing's wrong. You're just experimenting at this stage and seeing what all your made brushes do. What would they do? Just making marks. What ones haven't we done? Oh, we've got the sticks. Let's try the sticks. Let's just try. Oh, very scratchy marks, thin marks. I like that. That's that one. Very scratchy. What's left? Well, we've got this stick which I whittled off the stick at the end there. Let's just see what we can do with that. So much more control, much more, because it's a stick, it's very much like using a pen. So it's quite predictable what you can do with it. Lovely. Okay. That's the end of today's session. So you're now going to spend the rest of the day just playing and seeing what you can do with your brushes. Do they work? Do they not? Do you need to go and make some more brushes? What do you want to do? And also have a go at making different inks. So you can make your coffee ink. You might have some black paint, or you might have some ink or some dark paint around. Water-based is best to use that, and a little glass of water just to rinse your brushes out, and a piece of towel to dry them with. I'll see you for the next day. Bye-bye. So that's the end of today's art challenge. Hopefully you've really enjoyed the start of it, and we've still got another 2 days to go yet. Carry on making your marks. Keep all the marks that you've made on paper and put them somewhere, because we're going to be using them later on in the project. If you've liked this video, press the like button. Please share this video. Please share with everyone that you think might be up for doing something creative while we're in lockdown. And if you want to say thank you and keep supporting me with this free content that I'm delivering, you can also buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/Gary Mills Design. And thank you very much. And I'll see you for the next challenge. Bye bye.